Welcome to Frames of Myth. In Part 1, we watched Hercules face his earliest trials, the invulnerable Nemean Lion, the monstrous Hydra, the sacred Hind, and the raging Boar. These first labors proved his strength, his cunning, and his endurance. But Eurystheus, guided by Hera's spite, was not finished. The next 4 labors were stranger, darker, and more humiliating. Challenges not only of muscle, but of will. This is the 12 labors of Hercules, monsters, and madness. The next task seemed less glorious than the last. Eurystheus ordered Hercules to clean the stables of King Augean, stables that had not been cleansed in 30 years. Thousands of cattle stood there, their filth piled high, the stench unbearable. To assign such work to the son of Zeus was meant as an insult, but Hercules did not flinch. Instead of shoveling, he turned to cunning. He tore down walls and diverted the flow of 2 great rivers, Alpheus and Peneus. The waters thundered through the stables, sweeping the filth away in a single day. Augean, however, refused to pay the promised reward, and Eurystheus declared the labor invalid, because Hercules had been aided by the rivers. Yet the world remembered it as proof of his wit as well as his strength. Next, Hercules was sent to the marshes of Stymphalian, where humiliating birds gathered in countless flocks. These creatures were no ordinary fowl. Their feathers were tipped with bronze, sharp enough to pierce armor, and their beaks could tear through flesh. Their cries filled the air like a storm of knives. Hercules at first struggled, for the marsh was deep, the birds too many. But Athena came to his aid, giving him a bronze rattle forged by Hephaestus. When he shook it, the sound was deafening. The birds rose into the air in terror. Hercules drew his bow and loosed his arrows, each dipped in the Hydra's poison. Many fell from the sky, their wings broken, their bodies crashing into the reeds. The survivors fled, never to return. The marsh was freed, and Hercules' legend grew darker, his arrows feared by gods and mortals alike. Eurystheus then commanded Hercules to capture the Cretan Bull, a beast of dazzling white, father of the Minotaur, sent by Poseidon to plague King Minos of Crete. When Hercules reached the island, the bull rampaged across fields, its hooves shaking the earth, its breath fire-like. Farmers fled, unable to tame it. Hercules met it head-on. They clashed across the fields, man and beast locked in fury. With his bare hands, Hercules seized its horns and forced the great animal to the ground. He bound it with ropes and carried it across the sea. Eurystheus, as always, trembled when he saw Hercules return. The bull was released, roaming the land of Greece until later slain by Theseus. The 8th labor was crueler still. Diomedes, king of Thrace, kept horses unlike any other. These mares fed not on grass or grain, but on the flesh of men. Their eyes rolled wild, their jaws dripped red, and iron chains bound them. Hercules and his companions sailed to Thrace. They fought Diomedes' men, and Hercules himself battled the savage king. At last he hurled Diomedes to his own horses, who tore their master apart. Once their hunger was sated, the mares grew calm, their frenzy ended. Hercules bound them and brought them to Eurystheus. The king, horrified, dedicated the mares to Hera. Some say they were later released, wandering the plains until devoured by wild beasts. By now, Eurystheus lived in constant dread. Each time Hercules returned, triumphant, the king quailed. He had hoped to see Hercules destroyed, yet instead, each labor magnified his glory. Hera's hatred only deepened, and she whispered new torments into Eurystheus' ear. But Hercules endured, whether faced with filth, with monsters of bronze and feather, with bulls or man-eating horses. He triumphed. His legend was no longer that of brute force alone. It was cunning, endurance, and a growing shadow of divinity. And so, the second 4 labors were complete. Hercules had turned rivers, broken flocks of man-eating birds, wrestled bulls, and tamed horses that fed on flesh. Yet these trials were only stepping stones to even greater ordeals, for the final 4 labors would drive him to the ends of the world itself, to the Amazons, to giants, to golden apples, and into the very halls of Hades. The saga of Hercules was far from over. Join me in Part 3. The 12 Labors of Hercules, the final trials. Please like and subscribe for more mythology stories and content.